Hello and welcome to part number 26. So let's move on here. First of all, I'm gonna do some splits here, just to have a better line options later on. So let me go to edge mode, select this edge, delete it first, and then let's select this edge here. Control right click edge, remove to these and split, and then we do it. So to every edge here, so select this edge, hit G, this one, this one, this one. It's gonna help later on, even if we don't need it here on any edge. Or just in case, hit G on the keyboard to repeat the last tool. So I realized in between that I always put some splits there in between, so just to save some time later. Alright, so now let's go in and take this socket here. First of all, we wanna reverse the normals. Go to object mode, W, and then so now the first time we use the split here as a snapping point, move it here in X and then V middle mouse over this vertex here, because this socket is sitting directly in the middle, so it's perfectly aligned to that run stop button. So this one, so let's make a duplicate, move it here, and then we so Control D to duplicate, and then we change the pivot, press D, V middle mouse, snap it here, and then I know so that this edge here is right, above the center of this piece here. So move it here and then V middle mouse to that point. And then of course we could insert, Control right click, one edge loop there. Could have done it earlier, so we move this guy here and then V middle mouse snap in there. So let's just go in here and go to edge mode, hit G to repeat the last two, so that we have a split there just for a snapping points. Alright, so let's go to the top view. And we need 5 sockets here on top, so I'm going to select some faces here. So I'm going to select altogether 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sockets. Let's go back to perspective, and then let me use the duplicate faces blur tool. Hit Q on the Q, go to object mode, select that new object. If I can grab it, so I'm going to select it here in the outliner. There it is. So it has the pivot now in the center of the grid, so let me just, why not moving the pivot D, V, middle mouse, snap it here, and then we move it up, go to the top view, and this is sitting here, right, so is barking. So here and then V middle mouse over this point. So move it down a bit, so the distance here between those sockets is 0.7 centimeters. To have this exactly with the distance, with the correct distance, so let me go in here, select one of those edges, do an extrusion, and then we move it here in what is it, Z, and then go here under the inputs, local translate Y, so 0.7, and then we go back to that object here, and then we move the pivot here, D, V, middle mouse, snap it here, and then we move the object and V snap it here to that point. from the keyboard. Looks good so far. So we can go in, select this face and delete it. Okay, so we take a look at the top view. So like I said, so we don't need this socket here. So we can do a polygon face right there, and yeah, just leave it like it is for now. And now we need those little lights and the sockets for the little red lights. And we also need some sockets here. Okay, let's do that first. So select this one, Control D to duplicate it, and then let's go to the top view again. So this is sitting right in the center here. So let's go back to perspective, and so this, I don't know why I kept this plane here from the first video, so I'm just gonna delete it. And then I hit Alt B a couple of times so that you can might see better what I'm doing here. Maybe not for this. Okay, go back to object mode, W, and then DV. Move the pivot there, and then move it here in X, and V middle mouse step it to this point so that it's sitting right on top of that socket. Okay, so I'm not quite sure. Let me take a look. So that this slide button here, that's sitting a little bit higher. So let me check the 303 where it sits. So I'm always constantly checking here on that thing with a measure tool like that. So that's a little bit higher. I don't know. So maybe I'm gonna measure it out later on with my fancy measure tool here I'm using constantly. So let's move on and take care about the little lights first. So let's create a polygon sphere. Just to leave it, frame in on that. Change the radius to, was it 0.7 millimeters? So half of it, it's 0.135. And then frame in on that, and then we delete, go to face mode, delete all the bottom faces, go to edge mode, double click on that, and then extrude, hit W, extrude it straight down, hit G to repeat the last tool, W again, and G or W once more, and leave it there. Once we're in here, we're going to create that socket for that little lamp or light. Let's create a polygon plane. Let's give it subdivisions 5 by 5. Check it out, double click here on that border edge. So I got 20 edges selected, so I know that the cylinder has 20 subdivisions. So that's the first part. So let's do an extrusion with that edge curve, border edge selected. Hit W and scale it out proportionally, just a little bit. And then hit G to repeat the last tool, and then R to scale again, and then just one more. And then we go to the top view, frame in on that, so hit F on the keyboard, selecting all those faces, I don't need them. And then we are creating a cylinder. So let's give it a radius of 0.15 and a height of 0.5. Doesn't really matter now, so we leave the subdivision at 20, go to face mode, select all those faces. Let's check that out. So let me just go in here. So hit W to move it, and then we move the pivot D, V, D, move it in Y, and then V, snap it to the upper edge loop or the top, and then move it here in Y, V, middle mouse, snap it at the same level of that plane. And then again with that object selected, we have to reverse mesh display the normals. And object mode, and from the top view, so I think I'm gonna rotate that cylinder we just created in Y. It should be 9 degrees, so that we have one face that's horizontally from this point of view to this one here. And then we, that cylinder is selected. Let me go to perspective view, shift select that plane, and then combine it. And then we go to edge mode, double click here on that. Let me just start here at this one. So double click on the edge loop, shift double click to this one. Should be 40 edges selected, and then we do it. No, we don't. Let me just first do an extrusion here. So that border edge here selected, edge loop, do another extrusion. Hit R to scale in world. Okay, we'll put on the bevel here later on, so G on the keyboard, then R again. Let's do just one more, give it one more geometry. And so we still have that edge loop selected, so shift double click on that corresponding one, and then we do the bridge. Turn that bridge offset here until it looks, besides those green faces, looks good. So hit Q to exit the object mode, and then right click, assign existing materials, then at surface. And then we can go in right here, double click on that edge loop, and we do that bevel I was talking about. So that fraction is really low, so let's put it to 0.05. No, that's 0.1. I think that's better. Leave it at 3 segments. It is a fairly hard edge, but when we smooth it, it's still little roundness there. Okay, so I want to go to low poly view. Okay, so with all that stuff done, I'm gonna pause this video and we will move on in the next one. See you then.